Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do the May-June 2025 paper for GCSE Edexcel Math. This is Higher Paper 1. This is a non-calculated paper. In this video, we'll see how difficult or easy this paper was, and progressively we'll move on to paper 2 and paper 3 for higher and foundation as well. So let's start with this one. It says that find the highest common factor of 54 and 120. So for this, we're going to draw the factor tree for 54 and 120. So 54 is 9 times 6, 9 is 3 times 3, and 6 is 3 times 2. 3 and 2 are prime numbers, so we cannot further break these down. We make the prime factor tree for 120 now, so that's 12 times 10. You can use any set of factors, there's no restriction on that. 12 is 4 times 3, 4 is 2 times 2, 10 is 5 times 2. So as you can see, 2, 3, and 5 are prime numbers, so we cannot further break them down. So to figure out what our highest common factor will be, what we will do is we will select the common factors. So we have a 2 in common, we have 1, 3 in common, and that's it. So that means your highest common factor is 3 times 2, which is 6. That's your answer. Then there are only red counters, white counters, blue counters, and green counters in a bag. Chris is going to take a random counter from the bag. The table shows the probability that he will take a red counter and the probability that he will take a white counter. There are twice as many blue counters as there are green counters. So if there are X for green, 2X for blue, because there are twice as many blue counters as green counters. So we know that whenever we have a table given, and we're talking about an event happening, and we're talking about something happening, so different things are happening in that event. We can get a red counter, we can get a white counter, blue counter, or a green counter. So sum of the probability of all of these counters will always add up to 1. That means we can create an equation in terms of x and then solve that to find the probability of the blue counter and even the green counter. So 1 equals to 0.3 plus 0.1 plus 2x plus x. So that's 1 equals to 0.4 plus 3x. Take 0.4 to the other side. 1 minus 0.4 is 0.6. We divide both sides by 3, and x is 0.2. So which means the probability of getting a blue counter will be twice of 0.2, which is 0.4. That's your answer. Then there are 45 red counters in the bag. Work out the total number of counters in the bag. So if you look at the table, the probability for getting a red counter is 0.3, which means 0.3 is the same as 45 out of the total counters. So let's rewrite 0.3 as a fraction. That's 3 out of 10. Now we know that 45 and 3 come in the same times table. If we multiply 3 by 15, that gives us 45, which means 10 will be multiplied by 15 as well, because they're both equivalent fractions. So using the concept of equivalent fractions, we can figure out what the total number of counters are, which in this case is going to be 150. So total counters are 150. That is your answer. Then complete the table of values for y equals to x squared plus x minus 4. So very simple question. You just have to substitute the values of x in the equation to find the corresponding y values. So for the first one, y equals to negative 2 squared plus negative 2 minus 4. That's 4 minus 6, and that's negative 2. Then you put x equals to 0, that's y equals to 0 squared plus 0 minus 4, negative 4. Y equals to 1 squared plus 1 minus 4, that's going to be -2. And then for y equals to 2 squared plus 2 minus 4, that's going to be +2. So these are your corresponding y values. Now in the next part, we have to plot these points on the given grid. So when x equals to -3, y is 2. So that's over here. When x equals to -2, y is -2. Then when x is -1, y is -4. That comes over here. When x is 0, y is again -4. When x is 1, y is -2. And when x is 2, y is also 2. So these are your points. We just connect the points with the curved line. And this is your quadratic curve. Then write in the coordinates of the turning point of the graph y equals to x squared plus x minus 4. So turning point is this one. So the x value is -0.5, and based on my graph, the y value is -4.4. -0.5, -4.4. Obviously, based on the accuracy, it might be slightly different, and they might give a range of values to make sure that the answer is correct. Then it says there are 280 chocolates in a box. There are only dark chocolates, milk chocolates, and white chocolates. 1/7 of the 280 chocolates are dark chocolates. The number of milk chocolates is to the number of white chocolates as 1:3. And the number of white chocolates to the number of dark chocolates, n:1. We have to work out the value of n. So first, let's find how many dark chocolates we have. So 1/7 of 280 is 40. Number of milk to white is 1:3. So milk is to white is 1:3. And white is to dark is n:1. So to figure out the number of milk and white chocolates, what we can do is we can remove the number of dark chocolates from the total chocolates so that the number of chocolates only has milk and white. So milk and white is going to be 280 minus 40. That's 240. Milk is going to be 1/4 of 240, which is 60. And white is going to be 3/4 of 240, which is 180. So these are number of milk and white chocolates. So to figure out the value of n, white is to dark is going to be 180 is to 40. The zeros get cancelled out. 18 divided by 4 is going to be 9:2. Since the ratio is n:1, which means we divide both by 2, which leaves n as 4.5. So n is 4.5 in this case. Or you can even write it as 9/2. Either way, it's going to be correct. 10 milk chocolates from the box are eaten. Does this affect your answer to part A? So if we eat 10 milk chocolates, then milk chocolates are going to be 50 now. So would that change your answer? No, it would not. Because the ratio is focused on white and dark chocolates, not the milk ones. That's your answer. Then standard form, work out 5.7 times 10 square plus 9.8 times 10 cube. Give your answer in standard form. So you can start with taking 10 square common. So that leaves us with 5.7 plus 9.8 times 10 in the bracket. So 10 square equals to 5.7 plus 98, because 9.8 times 10 is 98. Then we add the 2. That's going to be 98 plus 5.7, 7, then 8 plus 5 is 13, 1, 10. So 103.7. Now we're going to convert this in standard form. So 103.7 times 10 squared. As you know, in standard form, the decimal comes after the first non-zero digit. So we move the decimal 2 places to the left. So 1.037, and we add 2 places to the power, so it's going to be 10 to the power of 4. This is your answer in standard form. A, B, B, C, C, D, and D are 4 sides of a regular polygon with n sides. BCX is an equilateral triangle, so all sides are going to be equal over here. This, and this. And if it's a square, CDXY, so these sides are also going to be equal. We have to work out the value of n. So as the question said that A, B, B, C, C, D, and D are 4 sides of a regular polygon, that means DE and AB also have the same length. So all of these lengths are equal. So if this is a square, this is going to be 90 degrees. And this is an equilateral triangle, so that's going to be 60. So which means the interior angle is going to be 90 plus 60, which is 150 degrees. This is also 90. So to figure out the value of n, which is number of sides, we can easily use the interior angle formula. 150 equals to n minus 2 times 180 divided by n. So 150n equals to 180n minus 360. 360 equals to 180n minus 150n, which is 30n. So 360 divided by 30 equals to n, which is 12, which means this polygon has 12 sides. So very simple, you need to know your properties of a square and an equilateral triangle. You need to identify where the sides are equal, and then using that, you can figure out the number of sides. Then we have to simplify 3 times 2 minus m square over 2 minus m. So you need to realize that 2 minus m square is 2 minus m times 2 minus m. We have 2 minus m in the numerator and denominator, so they get cancelled out. And that leaves us with 3 times 2 minus m, which is also the same as 6 minus 3m. That's your answer. Then solve 7 plus x less than equal to 5x over 2 minus 8. So we have a linear inequality. So linear equality are somewhat the same as a linear equation, but the only difference is that we don't have the equal to sign. We have an inequality now. So we collect the like terms on each side. 7 plus 8 is less than equal to 5x over 2 minus x. 7 plus 8 is 15. 5x minus 2x over 2. 3x over 2. Cross multiply 15 times 2 and then divided by 3. So that's going to be 10. So x is basically greater than equal to 10, or 10 is less than equal to x. Then solve 2y plus 4 is less than 12 but greater than 9. So in these type of questions, you need to make sure that y is isolated in the middle. So that means we need to get rid of the 4 and 2. So we begin with subtracting 4 from each side. So that's going to be 5, 2y over here, and 8 over here. Now we divide everything by 2 so that y is isolated. So that's 5 over 2 over here, y over here, and 4 over here. So that means y is less than 4 but greater than 5/2. Then we have right angle triangles. It says ABC is a right angle triangle. AEC and EDB are straight lines. ED is parallel to CB. We have to prove that triangle ABC is similar to triangle ADE. So we need to realize that both have angle A in common and the 90-degree angle in common. So if both angles are common, which means third angle is also going to be the same. So if all three angles are same, that means they are similar shapes. So angle AED is the same as angle ACB because they're both 90. Then angle A is common. Thus, angle ADE is also going to equal to angle ABC. Thus showing that all three angles are equal, which means they are similar shapes. For two shapes to be similar, the angles have to be equal. And in this case, they are equal. Then ED is 20, CB is 30, and AC is 18. We have to work out the length of EC. So this is what we need to work out. Very simple. If we find the length of AE, we can use that to figure out EC. So if you notice, AC is 18 and BC is 30. So since both shapes are similar, we know that ED is similar to CB and AE is similar to AC. So ED divided by CB is the same as AE divided by AC. Why? Because if two shapes are similar, they're using the same scale factor to get the dimensions of the other shape. So to find the scale factor, we can just divide the lengths, which are corresponding to each other. So 20 divided by 30 is the same as AE divided by 80. So that's 2/3, cross multiply, 18. 18 divided by 3 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. So 12 centimeters is your AE. Which means EC is going to be the difference of, so AC minus AE. That's 18 minus 12. And that gives you 6 centimeters. That's a value of EC. Then we have transformation of shapes. Describe fully the single transformation that maps shape A onto shape B. We know it's not a translation because the direction of the shape has changed. It's not enlargement because the size is the same. It's not a reflection as well. So only thing that's left is rotation. So we need to figure out the center of rotation and the angle of rotation now. It's not 180 degrees because then it would have been in the opposite quadrant. It's definitely 90 degrees and it's anti-clockwise because it's going in this direction. For the center now, it's probably going to be this one. Why? Because if we look at the horizontal and vertical distance of this point, the horizontal distance is 3, vertical is 1. If you look at the same point over here, now your horizontal is 1 and vertical is 3. When we are rotating the shape 90 degrees, whether it's clockwise or anti-clockwise, what happens is that the horizontal and vertical distance of a point from the center always swap. And that is happening over here. Now the horizontal distance is 1 and the vertical is 3, which means -1, 0 is your center of rotation. If you use some other method to find the center of rotation, please use that. You don't have to stick to the same method because everyone does it very differently. But for me, I look at the horizontal and vertical distance. I use trial and error to pick a point which seems like the center and see whether the horizontal and vertical distance are swapping or not. In this case, they do. So the center is -1, 0. It's 90 degrees anti-clockwise rotation. About the center, -1, 0. So far the questions seem quite straightforward, like nothing out of the blue. Then another rotation question. Enlarge the triangle by scale factor of 1/2. Center is -1, -3. -1, -3 is this. And scale factor is 1/2. So what we will do is we'll check out what is the horizontal and vertical distance of the given shape from the center. So it's 4 units horizontally and 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 units vertically. So if the scale factor is 1/2, that means the horizontal distance will become 2 and vertical will become 3. So now over here we go 2 and then we go 3 up. So that's this point. So if this point is this distance is 4. So 4 divided by 2 is 2. So this point comes over here and this distance is also 4. So again, 2. Which means if we connect the points, this is our enlarged shape. So as you can see, each of the dimensions are half now. 4 is 2 in both the cases. And your horizontal and vertical distance of a point from the center has also changed. It's half now. So originally for that point, the blue point, it was 4 horizontally and 6 vertically. Now it's 2 horizontally and 3 vertically. So this is how you can identify the position of your enlarged shape. Then prove that difference in the squares of 2 consecutive even numbers is always a multiple of 4. So 2 consecutive even numbers, we can say that 2n is an even number, and then 2n plus 2 is an even number. These are 2 consecutive even numbers because anything multiplied by 2 is an even number. So that's the first even number. And the next would be that you're adding 2 to that number. So that's 2n plus 2. So 2n plus 2 squared minus 2n squared. Expand the bracket. 2n plus 2 times 2n plus 2 minus 4n squared. That's going to be 4n squared plus 4n, again plus 4n and plus 4. 4n squared minus 4n squared is 0. 4n plus 4n is 8n and then plus 4. They're saying that the result is always a multiple of 4. So if you take 4 common, we have 2n plus 1 in the bracket. So whatever happens in the bracket, it's always going to get multiplied by 4, which means it is a multiple of 4. If we weren't able to take 4 common, that means it is not a multiple of 4. So for these type of questions, you need to be aware of what consecutive even numbers can be, odd numbers be, or anything. You need to be able to create expressions for the given information. And then it's just pretty straightforward, nothing complicated. Then inverse and direct proportion. T is inversely proportional to W. W is directly proportional to the cube root of D. So W is directly proportional to the cube root of D, and T is inversely proportional to W. So W equals to K times cube root of D, and T equals to L times 1 over W. K and L are your proportionality constants. When W is 6, D is 20. When W is L, D is 8. Find the value of D when T equals to 48. So let's use these values to find the value of L first. So 20 equals to L over 6. 20 times 6 equals to L, and that's 120. Which means we create the proper formula, that's T equals to 120 divided by W. That's your formula for T and W. Now over here, W is 1 and D is 8. So cube root of 8 is 2. So 1 equals to K times 2. And 1 over 2 is K, which means W equals to cube root of D divided by 2 is your formula for this one. We have to find the value of D when T is 48. So when T is 48, you first use this formula to figure out a value of W. So W equals to 120 divided by 48, which is going to give us 5 over 2. Now 5 over 2 equals to cube root of D over 2. Cross multiply. 5 times 2 over 2 equals to cube root of D. They get cancelled out. So 5 equals to cube root of D. To get rid of the cube root, we will cube both sides, and that's 125 equals to D. So that is your final answer. Remember, you have to use all of the information to solve this question. It says that T is inversely proportional to W, so you create an equation for that. Then W is directly proportional to cube root of D. You create a separate equation for that. Remember that the proportionality constants will be different for both the equations. You cannot use the same proportionality constants. That will give you an incorrect answer. Once you've done that, then you use the other values to figure out the value of T. Once you've done that, you figure out the value of W and then substitute that in the next formula to figure out the value of D. And that gives you the answer. Then since the graph shows the velocity v meter per second of a particle t seconds after it starts to move. Work out an estimate of the gradient of the graph at t equals to 3. You must show how you get your working. So at t equals to 3, what we do is we draw a tangent and then we find the gradient of that tangent. Because obviously we cannot find the gradient of the curve. So to understand how to find the gradient of a point on the curve, you draw a tangent at that point, and the gradient of that tangent is going to be exactly the same as the gradient of the curve at the same point. So let's use this information. We can pick any 2 points. Let's say I pick y equals to 50 and 3 equals to 1.6 and 30. And then I have 50 and 4. So 4 and 50. So my gradient is going to be 50 minus 30 over 4 minus 1.6. So that's 20 over 2.4, 10 over 1.2, 5 over 0.6, I move the decimal over here, we add a 0 over here, so that's 50 divided by 6. So 50 divided by 6 is 848, 2.0318. It's going to be 8.3 recurring for me. So that is my estimate for the gradient. Gradient is 8.3 recurring. That's my answer. Then what does this gradient represent? So this gradient basically represents the acceleration, because in a speed time graph, the slope always represents the acceleration. If it was a distance time graph, then the slope would represent the velocity. So you need to be aware of these two distinctions. Acceleration. That's your answer. Then work out an estimate for the distance the particle traveled in the first 6 seconds. Use 3 strips of equal width. So another thing you need to know about velocity time graphs is that area under the graph gives you the value of the distance. So since we want the distance for the first 6 seconds, we will draw 3 strips of equal length. So this, and this. And then we find the area of these strips. Obviously, the first part from 0 to 2, it's a triangle. From 2 to 4, it's a trapezium. And from 4 to 6, it's also a trapezium. So if you look at the measurements, this is 2 and this is 30. This is again 2, this is also 2. This one is 50 and this one is 60. Area for trapezium is half times base times sum of, area for trapezium is half times height times sum of parallel sides. So for, this is A, let's call this B, let's call this C. So for B, the parallel sides are 30 and 50. For C, the parallel sides are 50 and 60. So let's use all of this information to figure out the individual areas, and then we will add them up to get the total distance. So A, which is a triangle, that's going to be half times base times height. That's 30. Then the trapezium, half times height, which is 2. And then the sum of parallel sides are 30 and 50, which is 80. And the third one, half times 2 times 50 plus 60, which is 110. So your distance is going to be the sum of all of these, 30 plus 80 plus 110. That's going to give us 220 meters as the distance. So once again, slope of a velocity time graph is acceleration, and area under the graph for a velocity time graph is your distance. For a distance time graph, the slope is your velocity. Now let's say x equals to 0.2 recurring and y equals to 0.681 recurring. We have to work out the value of x and y. If we answer as a fraction in its simplest form. So let's look at x first. So that's 0.2 recurring. So that's basically the same as 0.222 and so on. Like there are several 2's being repeated over here. So we have to get rid of the decimal. To get rid of the decimal, I'm going to multiply x with 10. So 10x is going to be the same as 2.2 recurring. And then I'm going to subtract 10x and x. Why? Because when I do that, you will notice that 2.2 recurring minus 0.2 recurring is the same as 2. Everything after the decimal is the same for both the numbers. So when you subtract them, the 2's get cancelled out, and we're only left with the whole number, just 2. And 10x minus x is 9x. This way, x is 2 over 9. We have gotten rid of the decimal. All we have is a fraction. The goal behind doing this was to make sure that we have created two numbers, and in those two numbers, the numbers after the decimal are exactly the same. Once we have that, we subtract them, and that leaves us with a whole number, like we did over here. Similarly, if we do the same steps for y is 0.681 recurring. So that means it's the same as 0.6, but now 81 is being repeated, not 6, just 81. So let's multiply 10 with y. So y is going to be 6.81 recurring now. Since we want the number after the decimal to be 81 and so on, let's multiply y with 1000 now. So we multiply it by 1000, we get 681.81 recurring. As you can see, the number after the decimal are exactly the same. So we subtract 1000y and 10y. So that's going to be 681.81 minus 6.81 recurring on this side. So that's 990y equals to 675. As you can see, the numbers after the decimal are gone and we're left with whole numbers. So y is 675 divided by 990. They wanted the values of x times y. So x times y is 2/9 times 675 times 990. $675 can be divided by 9 because when you add the numbers 6, 7, and 5, that gives us 18, which means it is divisible by 9. So 9 ones are 9, and this is going to be 7 because 63 comes in the 7 times table, and that's 45, and that's 5. Now 2 and 990 can be divided by each other. 2 ones are 2, and this is going to be 4, 9, 5. So 75 and 495 come the same times table, which is the 5 times table. So 75 divided by 5 is 15. 495 divided by 5 is, that's going to be 99. So both come the 3 times table, which is going to be 5/33. That is your answer. So this is the value of x times y. Then there are 9 balls labeled 1 to 9 in a box. Lee will take at random 2 balls from the box. Lee says the probability that the sum of the numbers on the 2 balls will be an even number is greater than the probability that the product of the numbers will be an even number. Is Lee correct? Okay, so for this question, we know that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 numbers. Odd numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Even numbers are 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 even numbers. So for us to get an even number when we're adding them, we can add an odd to an odd number, or you can add an even to an even number. That's how you can get an even number from the sum. So the probability of getting an odd and odd would be 5 out of total numbers are 9 times. Now since one odd number is taken, so there are 4 odd numbers now. And total numbers are 8, so 4 out of 8. So that's going to be 20/72. That is the probability of getting an odd and odd when we're adding. Then if we're trying to make an even number through sum, we can add two even numbers. So probability of getting an even number is 4 out of 9 times 3 out of 8. So that's 12 out of 72. This was for sum. So probability of sum being even is going to be 20 out of 72 plus 12 out of 72. That's going to be 30 out of 72. So this is the probability of us getting even number through the sum. Now for the product, we know that we can get an even number if we're multiplying an even with an odd or an odd with an even. So we can pick odd first, odd, and then even. So that's going to be 5 out of 9 times 4 out of 8, which is 20 over 72. Then we can say we're picking an even first and then an odd. Because there's no restriction, we can pick any one of them first. So one way is that we're picking odd first and then even, and then we're saying we're picking even first, then odd. Remember, in the product, you can only get an even if we're multiplying an odd number by an even number. Odd times odd will not give us even. So that's going to be 4 out of 9 times 5 out of 8. Again, 20 over 72. Another way we can get an even number in product is if we times even with even. So that's 4 out of 9 times 3 out of 8, which is 12 over 72. So the probability of the product being even is going to be 20 over 72 plus 20 over 72 plus 12 over 72. That's 52 over 72. Clearly, we can see that the probability of getting a product even is greater than the probability of the sum being even. So that means Lee is wrong. And that's your answer. Then we have a histogram that gives information about the weights and grams of some biscuits. One of these biscuits is taken at random. Work out an estimate for the probability that the biscuit will have a weight between 20 and 40 grams. So 20 and 40 grams. So this is 20 and this is 40 grams. So we have no other information given. We just know that we have to find the probability of the weight between 20 and 40 grams. So we have the frequency density. We have the class interval. So let's figure out the frequency using this information. Class interval is 10 over here. This is 10. This is another 10. This is 10. This is 5. And this is 15. So if this is 4 and 2, this is going to be 3. So 3 times 10, that's 30. Frequency is your frequency density times class width. So the frequency for this bar is 30. Then this is 5, which means 5 times 10 is 50. So this part is 50 and this part is also 50. So total frequency is 100 for the bar from 10 to 30 basically. This is 8. So we do 8 times 10, that's 80. So this part is 80. And 8 times 5, that's 40. So this part is 40. So total frequency for this entire bar from 30 to 45 is 120. And for the last one, that's 10. So 15 times 10, that's 150. So this is 150. Our focus is from 20 to 40. So that's 50 plus 80. And then we need the total frequency because we're trying to find the probability. So for the total, we add 30, 100, 120, and 150. So let's do that. Total frequency. That's going to be 30 plus 100 plus 120 plus 150. That gives us 400. Probability is going to be 50 plus 80 divided by 400. That's 130 over 400. And that can be simplified to 13 over 40. If you want to leave it as 130 over 400, that's also fine. If you want to simplify it, you can also simplify it. So that's your answer. Then rationalize the denominator of 35 over root 7. So when we're rationalizing a denominator and there's a surd in the denominator, what you will do is you will multiply and divide the fraction by that surd. So that's going to be 35 over root 7 times root 7 and then divided by root 7. So this way, what's going to happen is that when we multiply the surd to itself, we're basically squaring it. And square of the root cancel out the powers. So we have 35 root 7 divided by 7. 35 divided by 7 is 5. So 5 root 7 is your rationalized answer. In rationalization, we're trying to get rid of the surd from the denominator. Now, as you can see right now, there is no surd. It's only the numerator. So we have rationalized it. Then same thing, but now the fraction is slightly different. Square root of 27 minus 1 can be written in the form of a plus b root 3, where a and b are integers. We have to work out the value of a and b. So what we will do over here is, now we will multiply and divide the fraction by the denominator, but now the sign in the middle will be opposite. So if it's 2 minus root 3, initially you multiply and divide it by 2 plus root 3. This is the conjugate of the denominator, which is 2 minus root 3. Then you multiply the numerator with the numerator and denominator with the denominator. So 2 minus root 3 times 2 plus root 3. We expand the bracket in the numerator. So root 27 times 2 is 2 root 27. Root 27 times 3 is going to be 27 times 3 in the root, because they're both surds. Then minus 2, then minus root 3. Now for the denominator, this must remind you of difference of perfect squares. Difference of perfect square was a square minus b square equals to a minus b times a plus b. So over here, our a is 2 and b is root 3. So when we rewrite this, we can rewrite this as 2 square minus root 3 square. This is fixed. When you rationalize the denominator, like when a fraction is similar to this one, you will always do this in the denominator. You will square the two terms and then subtract them. So now it's 2 root 27 plus root of 81 minus 2 minus root 3 over 4 minus 3. Square root of 81 is 9, and root of 27 can also be simplified because 27 is 9 times 3. So 9 is a square number. So when you take the square root of 9, that gives us 3. So 2 times 3 comes outside. Inside we have 3. So plus 9 minus 2 minus root 3 over 1. So that's 6 root 3 minus root 3 plus 7. So 6 root 3 minus root 3 is 5 root 3, and plus 7 comes as it is. So based on the form that has been given the question, it's a plus b root 3. So a is 7 and b is 5. That is your answer. Then we have functions. G of x is 1 minus 3x and h of x is 2x squared minus 1. Show that 3 times g of hx plus h of gx equals to 0 has just one solution for x. So you have to find the composite functions first and then prove that this equation has just one solution for x. So g of hx means that we're substituting hx in g. So wherever there's x in g of x, we replace that with h of x. So that's going to be 1 minus 3 times 2x squared minus 1. That's 1 minus 6x squared plus 3, which is 4 minus 6x squared. Then h of gx is the opposite. We're replacing the x and h with g. So that's 2 times 1 minus 3x squared minus 1. Expand the bracket. 2 times 1 minus 6x plus 9x squared minus 1, which is 2 minus 12x plus 18x squared minus 1. Collect the like terms. 18x squared minus 12x plus 1. This is your h of gx. Now we're going to use both of them using the given equation. So 3 times g of hx plus h of gx equals to 0. So 3 times 4 minus 6x squared plus 18x squared minus 12x plus 1 equals to 0. Now let's solve this to figure out the solution of x. 12 minus 18x squared plus 18x squared minus 12x plus 1 equals to 0. 18x squared minus 18x squared is 0. 12 plus 1 is 13. So 13 minus 12x equals to 0. 13 equals to 12x. And 13 divided by 12 is equal to x. As you can see, the x squared got cancelled out. So the only possibility of getting two solutions is gone. So now, since the power of x is 1, which means there is only going to be one solution, which was also asked to prove in the question, and we've done that. And that solution is 13 over 12. So that's your answer. And with that, we are done with this paper. If you have any questions or confusions, please leave a comment below and I'll help you out. If you understood everything, please like and subscribe, share this video with your friends, and stay tuned for paper 2 and 3 for higher as well.